Okay, now this is the second video about a brief history of the Netherlands Antilles. Now in 1621 there was a company that was created called the Dutch West India Company. This company consisted of Dutch businessmen and some foreign investors, and they basically dabbled a lot in slavery, and they ran the islands. Yes, they were elected officials on the islands, but the Dutch West India Company are the ones that had the real power, and they were backed by the king of the Netherlands. Then we also noticed that slavery across the Caribbean, there were some rebellions against it, because slavery, as we all know, was a very harsh treatment of individuals. And so one of the famous rebellions in the Dutch West Indies was led by a slave named Tula in the island of Curacao. The rebellion lasted for exactly 1 month, and he was captured and he was executed. This happened in the year 1795. Then on St. Martin we had one important lady, a slave who was fed up with slavery, most naturally, and she ran away from the plantation, and she was recaptured, and her masters decided to make an example of her to the other slaves by removing one of her breasts. Therefore her name was One Titiloke. And there were some other disturbances and uprisings by other slaves, but on the French side, in 1848, they got freedom from slavery, and then later on in the year 1863, on Dutch St. Martin, slavery was abolished, July the 1st. And that's the main reason why we celebrate July the 1st as a holiday, because it marks the day that our forefathers were freed from slavery on Dutch St. Martin, 1863. Then we had some decline in the economy, and then later on, for example, on the island of Aruba, something very significant took place. In 1924, there was a refinery that opened, and Shell Refinery, and then 4 years later, in 1928, the Lago Oil and Transport Company was established in 1928. This was a very important refinery. It opened up in Aruba, as I said, and this refinery was in existence from 1928 until 1986, when it closed. Now, over the last several decades on Aruba, oil refinery Lago, many persons from all over the Dutch West Indies migrated to Aruba and obtained jobs in the refinery. And there were also many persons from various English-speaking Caribbean islands like St. Vincent, like St. Lucia. These persons came and they worked in Aruba. And there was a section in Aruba where you had everybody that spoke English. Most of those individuals were situated in that section in a city called San Nicolas, Aruba. So the refinery had a huge impact on the island. It indirectly affected the other 5 islands. Then we also saw the witness of something else that took place back between 1936 and 1948. And what took place is that the Dutch government decided to take the island of Curacao and merge them together under one union, and they were called Curacao and its dependencies, and the dependencies were the other 5 islands. And then one of the most important political developments that occurred a few years later took place on December the 15th, 1954, which was the creation of the Netherlands Antilles. And so we had that started a lot of things. And one of the things it started was there was a parliament of the Netherlands Antilles, and we had the 6 islands, and Curacao had the most seats, and the seats were determined according to the number of people the island had. So Curacao always had the largest population, and so they had the most seats in the Parliament of the Netherlands Antilles, created in 1954. And thereafter there were some other political developments related to that huge and pivotal and significant development in 1954, which you will learn about in the final video today.